Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your long lost best friend, Asha Mack. I make videos about self-publishing and small business, and if those are things that you like to listen to, please subscribe and hit the bell. If you like this content, please hit the like button. It really helps my channel. If you clicked on this video, it's probably because you're interested in figuring out how to be successful in the self-publishing space, especially if you're publishing children's picture books or anything like that. And so I have done a little bit of the legwork. I've been around for a little bit of time, and not long, but a little bit of time, a couple of years, a year and a half or something like that. And I would like to share with you what my personal keys to success have been. First things first, you have to be creative, and not just creative in your craft and in your artwork and your writing. You have to be creative in how you get your message out there. You have to be creative in how you connect with other people. They always talk about Instagram and Twitter and all this. If that is for you, then please go ahead. I've set up my handles on all these different platforms, and for me, Facebook works. I use Instagram, and I have a Twitter for my Pinecone City, which is my publishing company, but I'm not really vibing with those just yet as far as publicizing my children's books. And then I also use my website, so that's kind of one of my outlets. But then too, I come here and I talk to you guys, and I have my YouTube channel. So you have to think of ways of creatively sharing your message that work for you and that like vibe with your vibe. If it's not something that comes naturally, you're gonna either burn out and get sick of it, people are gonna see through it, and it's not gonna be interesting, or it's just not gonna match up with the message you're trying to convey. So try to be creative. If you're a type of person that's still, in the analog world, and I always talk about the analog world because I am not old, but I'm a little bit older than some of you may be. Do things like, do things like book readings and stuff, so you can just show up somewhere and say, schedule it and show up. Don't just show up somewhere with a bunch of books and start reading. Hey, every hour I will be reading from my book. That's a way to kind of creatively get your message out there. Do farmers markets, do different things like that so that people can see who you are. And I actually feel like a lot of times, even paired with the online space, when you go out there and you put a face to your name, it really helps you to build a lot of traction more quickly. The next thing that you're going to have to do, or maybe not in this order, they don't necessarily have to be in this order, but you're going to want to build a community. And by building community, I mean building a community with other writers, with illustrators, with your customer, even just other entrepreneurs that are if you're in the children's book space, that are in the child space. Maybe you have friends that run daycare centers, or you have, friends that coach sports, or maybe your church. Build a community, once again, in the analog world and in the online space, so that you really have a feel of the market and a feel of the community around you, near and far, so that you're always able to shine the proper light on the specific areas of your work that will really make people interested and gravitate toward what you're putting out there. Because you can have the greatest book in the world, and it could be something that everybody would love, but if you're not projecting that out there, if they don't feel connected to you in any kind of a way, it's going to fall flat. So try to build a community. It doesn't have to be a huge community, because you have to remember, everybody that you connect with is going to connect to someone else. The bigger your community, yes, of course, the further your reach. But don't make empty connections, if that makes any sense. I'm not telling you got to be, everybody's best friend and show up at their wedding or whatever, nothing like that. But just make sure that you're being genuine, even if it's just a hi and hello, or here's my book, or, what do you enjoy, or how old are your kids? What are they into? That kind of thing. Just make sure that it's very genuine. The third thing you're going to really want to focus on, and I think this is the biggest thing, yes, you want to be creative, and yes, you want to have a community, but if you're getting into this business and immediately you're ready to start making some money, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You may make, $20, a few $1,000s just on launch. However, that is not going to track for years to come just because you did it the first time. So you're really going to want to have some drive and consistency. You have to be ready to get started for nothing. And that's why I always say do what you love, because if this is not something that you really love to do, then I mean, why are you starting it? Why would you even start something that you don't love? If you want to publish children's books and you don't love it, go get a job somewhere publishing children's books, because it's going to take a lot more out of you. The barrier of entry for this is very, very low. Like, you really realistically could come up with a book today, get some clip art, put that mess together, and have a book published this evening, if that's what you really wanted to do. So because the barrier of entry is so low, there's a lot of people in the market. Is the market saturated? I don't believe in a saturated market, because you think about your numbers. How many people do you really need to reach? And how many times have they been reached? I mean, I think about all the books in my kids' closet right now. We probably have somewhere over 100 books. Now, if there are hundreds of thousands of book publishers and millions of consumers, millions of parents that are purchasing for their kids, and those millions of parents have several children, I wouldn't be worried about market saturation. I would be worried about setting myself apart and consistently showing up every day so that everybody sees my face and everybody knows my name. A good way to do this is to set aside some time every day. If you don't have, all day, a lot of us have jobs, some of us have kids, we have lots of obligations. A good thing to do would be to set aside, if you have an hour or 2 hours every day. If you don't, when I first started, I didn't know anything about what I was doing, and I was working full time, and I had just met my husband. So I was head over heels for my boyfriend, and I was working all day. Not only was I working all day as a nanny, I was also in college, I was also dating my husband, and I was also coaching competitive travel cheer. So I had no time. I would spend my lunch hour sketching, learning, and not sketching for my book, learning how to draw. I didn't even know how to draw. So set aside some time every day that you are going to be committed to, even if it's 15 minutes, to learning, to practicing, to cultivating, to execution. You have to set aside that time. You have to be consistent about it every single day. And then with that said, you still have to give yourself benchmarks. Now, I have not met all my benchmarks yet, but I also have not met I have not exhausted my time limit. I have given myself 5 years to make $5,000 a month. Now, that's going to require me to publish quite a lot more books and do a little bit more marketing than I have been doing, but it is very doable. Now, if you give yourself a benchmark for every month, or a benchmark for every quarter, or even a benchmark for every year, you just take the steps to reach those benchmarks, and you won't disappoint yourself. You'll know when you reach the first 3-month mark. You look over what you've done. If you have not reached the benchmark you're trying to get to, evaluate what you need to do different, and then the next 3 months you do it better. And you just keep looking at it like that. You can really look at this as a business, as a startup business. And if you treat it like that, it will become a business and it will grow. You have to remember that everybody out there who's doing what you're doing now, even the most successful person, started from the very beginning. The majority of people, especially in the writing space, there's no way to get a handout for that. There may be, what do I know? But realistically speaking, there's no real handouts there. So if you're diligent and you do the work, you will definitely see the results. So be creative, build your community, and be consistent. And I promise you, if you do those things, you will keep on going. And brain fart. I hope that helped you. So be creative, build your community, and be consistent. And if you do those 3 things, and a whole lot more stuff, but if you do those main 3 things, I'm sure that you will begin to see some traction and some growth. And speaking of building communities, I am really interested in doing like an online book party. So if there is anyone watching this video who is interested in collaborating with me on doing a book party, a book launch, or an online book tour, please slide up in my DMs at It's Asha Mac on Instagram and let me know. And let's see what we can do. Let's build this community. Let's grow. Let's do these things. And until next time, be blessed.